This video is designed to introduce you to how the preservation and restoration of the natural environment is critical in ensuring that ecosystems are capable of reproducing populations of the species necessary for continued development and stability.
Beach erosion is the process through which coastal land is worn away by the natural forces of waves, currents, and tides. It's a natural process, but climate change has significantly accelerated it due to increased hurricane and tropical storm activity. Causes of beach erosion include climate change, rising sea levels and increased hurricane intensity intensify erosion. Human activities, residential and commercial shoreline construction disrupt the natural flow of sand, which exacerbates erosion, and pollution. Runoff contamination weakens the ecosystem, reducing the ability of natural mangrove forests to stabilize the shoreline. There's also environmental consequences, which include loss of habitats for plant animals and birds, impacts marine life, sediment runoff harms marine habitats and species living in mangroves, and water quality. Erosion leads to increased pollution in nearby waters, which also affects biodiversity loss. Beach erosion also has impact on coastal communities, which includes economic impact, loss of tourism revenue and property value declines, social impact, displacement of communities when strong storm surge comes through from a hurricane, and infrastructure damage, which means that erosion can damage roads, buildings, and utilities. There are a few different ways that community involvement can happen to address beach erosion and other local ecosystem issues. Mitigation and conservation efforts, such as beach nourishment, which adds sand to eroded beaches to restore them to their natural state, vegetative stabilization, which consists of planting native vegetation and mangrove seeds along the coastline to stabilize sand and prevent further erosion, and also policy changes, getting involved in local government to implement and enforce regulations to control beach construction. In this workshop presentation, we will discuss Sustainable Sites Initiative and other tools and methods that will educate on how to protect and restore local ecosystems and shoreline preservation efforts.
In an environmental restoration project, one way to see if there are measurable improvements is using the sites rating system, which was designed as a guideline of performance benchmarks for sustainable land design and development. The central message of the SITES program is that any project holds the potential to protect, improve, and regenerate the benefits and services provided by healthy ecosystems. The SITES system awards points for things like climate regulation, air and water cleaning, erosion control, habitat functions, and more. Earning enough points can earn a project a certification level of bronze, silver, gold, or platinum. A beach restoration project may not earn enough points for a medal, but the SITES rating system can give a guideline as to how a project is improving the environment.
There are several ways to test the progress of restoration and health of an ecosystem. For shoreline restoration purposes, it is helpful to test for water quality to ensure the ecosystem is indicating a proper balance for aquatic and other wildlife. The Aquatrol sonde is a high-tech sampling instrument that is easy to use. The sonde has many chambers to test for a variety of factors. When it is lowered into the water, data automatically starts to populate and we can begin to see whether or not water conditions are normal or in need of further restoration. High-tech equipment is not always so easily accessible, but there are always different sampling methods. Pictured here is the grab sampling method, which requires further analysis in a lab or a travel testing kit. While it's not easy to test for as many parameters as the sonde, there are certain factors that can be tested, like phosphate, pH, and nitrogen. You simply drop a phosphate or nitrogen tablet into the test tube, fill with the sampled water, and wait for the water to turn a certain color. The colors can provide insight as to whether or not water quality is where it needs to be. One way you can measure the success of your restoration efforts is to take a look at the aquatic life and wildlife. If there is a noticeable increase of native and seasonal wildlife where there previously was none, that can indicate a healing ecosystem. Another way you can measure the success of your restoration efforts is to take a look at the shoreline. Does the shoreline look healthy? Is it a living shoreline or man-made? In the next slides, we will talk about what a healthy shoreline looks like and the benefits they provide.
I found this image to be helpful comparing living to non-living shorelines. So the living shorelines can improve water quality, act as natural habitats for fish and wildlife, and increase biodiversity, whereas the unnatural shorelines like these seawalls and giant rocks can promote erosion. They don't have any natural hiding spots for fish, and it also decreases biodiversity. This image further compares living to non-living shorelines and kind of gives you a breakdown of the different types of shorelines. Using the knowledge gained from the previous two slides and the whole presentation, which shoreline do you think would be greener and healthier? Following the previous slide, A would be the greener and healthier shoreline versus B, because B is a man-made shoreline which increases erosion, decreases water quality, and doesn't have any natural hiding spots for fish, versus A, which has all its native natural plants, which can improve the water quality, act as natural hiding spots for fish.
Overall, living shorelines provide a vast array of benefits to humans and other ecosystems. These benefits include increased biodiversity and the protection of aquatic and land wildlife, erosion prevention from vegetation, which also improves water quality, and a natural solution to climate change adaptation that provides carbon sequestration and protection against rising sea levels. Continuing and monitoring restoration efforts will allow for communities and ecosystems to enjoy these long-term benefits.